Hello, everyone. Welcome to this week's live marriage coaching call. My name is Tina Heisman. I'm a certified master life coach specializing in marriage. I view my job as trying to help women tune up their marriages so they don't have to drag their husbands to marriage counseling, kind of trying to do the preventive maintenance on the front end. But I also help women in crisis perform CPR on their marriage and bring it back to life. And so today we have a great call. It's a topic that I see a lot that women experience. It's about what to do when you feel lonely in your marriage. So before we get started, I would like to let you know that I have a free Happy Wives community on Facebook where you can come to get inspiration for your marriage. And I want you to know that it is truly a happy place. It's not a place for griping, and it's I hope it just feels refreshing and joyful and somewhere that people can find positive help. And you can find it online at facebook.com/groups/the Happy Wives community. And if you can't remember that, don't worry. Just head on over to my website, tinaheisman.com, and there is a banner at the bottom of the front page that you can click on, and it will take you right there. Okay, so are you ready? The topic for today's call is what to do if you feel lonely in your marriage. Being lonely is probably not something you didn't think would happen to you in your marriage, but it is a complaint I hear often. Wives tell me that they feel lonely and disconnected from their spouse, and they wonder what they should do if their marriage is going to make it, because it doesn't seem like we should feel lonely in our marriage. Most of the time, the wives that I speak to are hoping that I will give them advice that has to do with their husband changing his ways so she doesn't have to feel lonely anymore. Most of the time, the wife thinks that it's her husband's fault, and if that he will change and be more attentive to her, then she will feel happier. Now, that might be true. If your husband is more attentive to you, that will definitely help with your loneliness and help you feel happier. But how we make that happen is the important part in where a lot of people go wrong or just give up because maybe they don't know. So this is something that we can all work on, and I think that almost every wife will tell you that she has felt lonely at one point or another in her marriage. And so really, I know that some of you may be dealing with different levels of loneliness, and some of you maybe this is a newer feeling for you, and for others, maybe it's been going on for a while. But the strategy that I am going to share with you today can be tried by anyone, no matter where you are at in your marriage. And my philosophy, and that of many other marriage experts, is that we cannot change other people. We can only change ourselves. So it's not up to us to change our spouse and make him behave in a way that we would like. We have to change ourselves, and that most of the time invites our spouse to change. And it has to be their idea, you see. So what I'm saying is, if you want happiness and connection in marriage, you can go out and get it. It's up to you. You can go out there and get it. We have the ability to make ourselves happy without depending on our spouse. So really it's up to us. We're responsible for taking action to reduce our loneliness. So, based on all of this, you can see that if we're just waiting for our spouse to change, then, we might be waiting a really long time. And there's a couple of reasons why sometimes we find ourselves faced with loneliness in marriage. One of them is, I think really, what for me, where I was at, was that you think that your Prince Charming is like your happily ever after, that you're never going to feel alone because you found your Prince Charming. We watched all of the Disney fairy tales, and they all end when the princess finds her prince or Prince Charming, and then life is just happily ever after that. But that's not reality. That's not how things work. And I think for other people, other of us wives, like we might be escaping rejection from growing up, or like loneliness in our family. We think that our spouse is going to solve that problem for us. And that's not always the case either. And ladies, what I like to say is that's putting a lot of responsibility on one man, on your husband, right? So that's too much for one man on earth. It's something you can take to God, and he can help you with that. But expecting your husband to cure your loneliness is a recipe for disaster, and it is a sure way to drive him right out of the relationship and cause him a lot of stress. So we don't want to do that, right? So where do you start? Well, I did mention one thing, of course, and that is God. You know, we can always turn to God with our loneliness and ask him to guide us. So I want to make sure that I mention that as a practical step. That would be prayer. And the next step that I would take you down is that we need to learn to be our own best friend. We need to start being a friend to ourselves and start taking care of ourselves and doing activities that we love to do. The beautiful thing about this, you guys, is that this is going to create in you a totally opposite energy from the negativity of feeling lonely. Because when you're in a state of feeling lonely, then your energy is negative and it's, you know, kind of a downer, and your husband can feel that from you. And I'm telling you, it probably actually scares him. He doesn't know what to do with that. Like he sees it, but emotions and guys, you know, they're not really great at that, and so it's scary to him. And a lot of times we inadvertently blame them for our loneliness, and so they feel that too, and they don't know what to do. So let's give them some grace on that, okay? So the beautiful thing is that if you will start focusing on yourself and what you love to do and pulling yourself out of your loneliness, it will invite your husband to come along with you. He will be interested. Like if you start working on doing things that you love, you're going to start giving off a positive energy that he's going to be really attracted to, and he's going to want to come along with you. And so that's going to help you a lot. So what I'm saying here is you're being your own best friend. Like start with that. Like we know that. Like you know that instinctively. And I know other people have told you that. Like you have to be in charge of your own happiness. We can't rely on someone else. So when you feel that feeling of loneliness set in, like, wow, I'm feeling really lonely today, then what can you do? What can you do? Could you maybe set up an activity for yourself that you would love to do? Like maybe you like hiking or shopping or exploring or going to comedy shows or just eating out or having coffee with a friend. Like what is it that you like to do? And a great idea is to really invite your spouse into this as well. Like I would definitely say do some things on your own or maybe invite a friend, but also invite your spouse, you know, and make it okay for him to say yes or no, you know, especially as you're just starting to work on this. Say, well, I want to tell you a story. One of my clients actually had a recent experience with this. She was offered tickets to a concert, and she really wanted to go. And so she asked her husband if he wanted to go, and he said he wasn't really interested in it. Like the artist, you know, and he's not huge on concerts because of crowds and stuff like that, I guess. So he said he wasn't really interested in going. So my client told me that she had to think about that for a moment. They were on the phone talking. In the past, she said she would have just let that be the decision. Okay, he doesn't want to go, so we won't go. And she would have turned down the tickets. And in fact, she had done this many times in her marriage and had missed concerts that she really would have enjoyed going to. So since she really wanted to go to this concert, she decided not to let his answer dictate her happiness. Instead, she said to him, okay, well, I really want to go. So would you like to come with me, or would you mind if I invite a friend? And that totally changed his response because she didn't say it in a manipulative way or a controlling way or in a way to give him a guilt trip. She really just said, I really want to go, and so do you want to come with me, or should I ask a friend? Like, you know, just what she truly felt, what her authentic feelings were. And that totally changed his response, you girls. She said that he got like excited. He was like, oh, you want to go? Okay, well, I'll come with you. I'll go. So he totally changed his response, a 180, because she said something that she would love to do, And she was positive about it, and that invited him to come along with her. He was like, well, all right, like if you want to go, I'll come with you. And I want to make sure that you see that she just made it okay for him to decline it by offering to bring a friend. You know, it's like no guilt trip there. Like, it's okay if you don't want to come, but I'm going to go, and I can bring a friend if you don't want to come. Like, it's okay. And so I'm so proud of her because this is a really big part of this client's growth. And if she would have just gone with her husband's first answer, you know, that he really didn't have interest in going, she really would have betrayed herself. And that would have led to her feeling resentment toward him. And she would have also been ultimately angry with herself because she didn't do something that she really wanted to do. And she would have, you know, seen pictures from friends going to the concert, and then she would have felt bad. But instead, she took responsibility for her own self and did a very positive action and was very kind and graceful about it and got the best possible outcome. She said both her and her husband loved the concert. They loved the experience, and she was so happy that she stayed true to herself and took responsibility for her own happiness. And that is what we all need to do in our marriages. We need to follow this example of doing things that bring us joy and invite other people along. It just naturally invites them along. So that's the homework that I want to give you this week. I would ask you to find one thing that you would love to do in the next week. Listing off things for me, like what could come in my mind, like something I would love to maybe go check out, like the botanic gardens, or go for a walk, you know, in the woods, or go out to lunch, or out to coffee, something like that. Like, you know, what would it be? Or even shopping. I actually did this with my husband. This weekend he was cleaning out the garage, which was something he really wanted to do, and I really wanted to go shopping. I just needed one thing. I only wanted to go to one store, and then we had some wine to pick up at a wine club place nearby, and we get free wine tastings with it. So I said, hey, I have an idea. I want to go to the store and, you know, pick up this one thing, and then would you like to go with me to do a wine tasting and pick up our wine at the restaurant called Cooper's Hawk? At Cooper's Hawk, and he was like, yeah, actually I would. He's like, this garage can wait till tomorrow. And I'm like, okay, awesome. And he's like, I need to take a shower. Is that, you know, do I have enough time? And I'm like, yeah. And we went out and we had a great time. So, you know, I want you guys to know, like, so my husband was cleaning the garage. I could have just, and I knew he really wanted to get that done because he was doing a construction project and there was a lot of stuff going on in there. But I gave him the option. I said what I really want to do. I didn't want to sit at home doing nothing while he was cleaning the garage, and it's not really something I could help him with, unfortunately. So, you know, I said what I would really love to do, and I invited him along, and he said yes. And so we ended up actually having dinner at the restaurant instead of just doing the wine tasting, and it was like a spontaneous date, and it was so fun. And I want that for all of you guys. And so for this week, for your homework, find one thing that you would love to do, plan to do it, invite your spouse along, and see what happens. If he does not want to come along, then you have a decision to make. Are you going to invite a friend, or are you going to go do it by yourself? And so do this, and if your husband says no, be sure not to make him feel guilty. That's not going to help anything. It's just not going to help anything. And because what you want to show him is positivity, right? You want to show him that you are a woman who is taking care of herself and working to make herself happy and not resting your happiness in his lap. He's going to appreciate that, actually. Takes a lot of pressure off him. Okay? Okay, ladies. So I know this is not always black and white, and your issues might go deeper than what I'm talking about today. And so I do offer one-on-one marriage coaching if you want to work more in depth on your problem and more specifically on the issues in your marriage. Please reach out to me or visit my website, tinaheisman.com. You can always pop into the Happy Wives community on Facebook as well. And I have created a free download. It's a marriage makeover guide. It's kind of one of the systems that I use, like a step-by-step process for working through like an irritation or a frustration that you have with your spouse. And so that's free on my website if you want to stop by. I think that's it for today. I want to thank you so much for joining the call today. And I hope that you'll come back next week and I'll have a whole new topic. Thank you so much. Have an awesome day.